The rain had been falling over Chicago since early morning, turning the streets silver beneath the gray sky. Daniel Carter stood outside a small community shelter, carrying several boxes of groceries for families who needed help. At 38, Daniel was a successful construction company owner, but wealth had never erased the emptiness inside his home. 2 years earlier, his wife had died unexpectedly, leaving him alone with his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, and 6-year-old son, Noah. Since then, Daniel had learned how to prepare breakfast, pack school lunches, attend parent meetings, and comfort children who still asked when their mother was coming home. His children were everything to him, yet he knew something was missing from their lives. As Daniel carried another box toward the shelter entrance, he noticed a young woman sitting beneath the awning. She looked exhausted, with damp brown hair falling around her pale face. Her clothes were simple and worn, and an old suitcase rested beside her feet. She seemed completely lost in the busy city around her. Daniel slowed down and asked if she needed assistance. The woman looked up at him with tired eyes, but said nothing. After several seconds, she whispered, "I have no family left." Her voice trembled, as though those words carried years of pain. Daniel sat beside her, leaving enough space to make her comfortable. He understood that loneliness because he had lived with it himself. The woman explained that she had recently lost the last person she considered family. She had spent years taking care of an elderly relative, sacrificing opportunities, because she believed family was worth everything. After the relative passed away, she discovered that there was nowhere for her to go. She had no stable job, no home, and no one willing to help. Daniel listened without interrupting. He did not offer empty promises or tell her that everything would magically become better. Instead, he told her that sometimes life took away things people never expected to lose. He knew that feeling. After his wife died, he had returned home every night expecting to hear her voice, only to remember that the house was silent. When the rain became heavier, Daniel invited her inside the shelter and bought her a warm meal. His children were waiting in the car nearby, watching their father through the window. Emma noticed the woman and immediately asked who she was. Daniel explained that she needed some help. Noah climbed out of the car carrying his favorite blue umbrella and offered it to her. The woman stared at the little boy in surprise. "You can use mine," Noah said innocently. "I have another one at home." Something broke inside her at that simple kindness. She knelt beside him and thanked him with tears in her eyes. Daniel watched silently, realizing his children had already begun accepting her without knowing anything about her past. Before leaving, Daniel asked the woman where she planned to stay that night. She looked down and admitted she had nowhere safe to go. Daniel hesitated, knowing the risks of bringing a stranger into his family's life. But something about her honesty made him believe she deserved a chance. He offered to arrange temporary accommodation through a trusted local organization and promised to help her find work. Then, trying to lighten the painful moment, he smiled and said, "Funny, my children need a mother." She looked at him, stunned by the unexpected words. Daniel quickly added that he was not asking her to replace anyone. He simply meant that his children needed someone who could bring warmth back into their lives. For the first time that day, she smiled. Weeks passed, and the woman slowly became part of Daniel's family. At first, she visited only during the afternoons, helping Emma with schoolwork and playing board games with Noah. Daniel remained careful, giving her space and never making her feel indebted. She had found temporary work at a local bakery, and every evening she returned to her small apartment with a little more confidence. The children adored her. Emma began saving drawings for her, while Noah insisted she sit beside him during dinner. One evening, Daniel returned home exhausted and found the three of them laughing in the kitchen. He stopped at the doorway, watching the scene quietly. For the first time in years, his house sounded like a home again. He realized that his children were not simply happy because she was there. They felt safe around her, and that meant everything to him. One Saturday morning, Daniel took the children and the woman to a park near Lake Michigan. The weather was bright, and the children raced across the grass, while the adults watched from a bench. She admitted that she had been afraid when Daniel first approached her. She had expected another person to judge her or offer temporary sympathy before disappearing. Daniel smiled and told her that he had no intention of disappearing. He understood what it meant to lose someone and feel abandoned by the world. She looked at him and confessed that his kindness had changed the direction of her life. Daniel answered that she had changed his family too. Neither of them said anything romantic, but the silence between them felt comfortable. They both sensed that something meaningful had begun. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Daniel received a phone call from his lawyer informing him that the company was facing a serious financial problem. A major construction project had collapsed, leaving Daniel responsible for enormous losses. He came home worried and distracted, trying to hide the situation from his children. The woman noticed immediately. Instead of walking away, she asked what was wrong. Daniel finally admitted that he might lose his company and possibly his house. He expected her to become frightened because she had only recently rebuilt her own life. Instead, she quietly said, "Then we will figure it out." Daniel looked at her in disbelief. She reminded him that when she had nothing, he had treated her like a person, not a problem. Now she wanted to do the same for him. Over the following weeks, she helped Daniel organize paperwork, contact clients, and reduce unnecessary expenses. Her experience working with people and managing difficult situations proved surprisingly valuable. Daniel's company eventually secured a new contract that saved the business. When he received the news, he rushed home and found her helping Noah build a model house. Daniel smiled and told everyone that they had made it through. Emma hugged him while Noah shouted happily. The woman watched them with tears in her eyes because she finally understood something. Family was not always something people were born into. Sometimes family was something people chose to build together. Months later, Daniel stood outside the same community shelter where he had first met her. This time, he was not alone. Emma held his hand, Noah carried an umbrella, and the woman stood beside them smiling. Daniel looked at her and said that he still remembered her words that rainy day. She laughed softly and replied that she remembered his strange answer even better. "You told me your children needed a mother," she said. Daniel smiled and answered, "They did, but I eventually realized their father needed someone too." She reached for his hand. They had not forgotten the people they had lost, nor the difficult roads that brought them together. Instead, they had learned that love could arrive quietly after heartbreak when nobody expected it. And the woman who once whispered that she had no family left finally knew she had found one.